What's up, folks? Welcome back to Active Cell Protection Extra, and I am Christopher Bean from Tactical Advantage, and today we are going to talk about the press out.
Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video.
Okay, folks, so today really when you see a lot of deviation happening in a draw stroke, it's actually happening from this portion of the draw to that portion of the draw. So the press out from the Mary to the actual full presentation point. And a way I've found to really work on that versus talking about percentages or pullback or where in your draw stroke you start to decel is really to find a way to kind of just hang a target that has the ability to move. So not on a wall, not anything like that, but really a spot where you can kind of start to understand and get feedback of where in the presentation or how prone you are to hyperextension or not quite enough extension. So really how I've got that set up right now is just a target hanging up on my bookshelf, and I've got a little piece of tape on the ground that kind of shows me exactly where I need to stand to make at full presentation my muzzle is actually touching that piece of paper. If you're too close, you're going to have a tendency to kind of push through. If you're too far away, you're not actually going to touch the paper. And what we want is to literally inevitably touch the paper with our muzzle during presentation at speed or at varying levels of controlled speed. So with that, let me get in position. I'm just going to make a draw. I'm not going to press the trigger. And what I want to do is just gently touch the paper. Maybe push it a little bit depending on where I'm standing or how I'm standing, but not crash through the paper and not really upset the paper. What that tells me is that portion of my presentation is well organized and well controlled. So I'm decelling as I should be decelling, so I have a very consistent sight picture at the end of that presentation. And it's not quaking, it's not moving around a lot, then that's really what you get from a hyperextension, that boing. And that's really hard to shoot through. And it requires correction, sometimes significant corrections. And what you'll see is someone that's struggling kind of at a ceiling point of say 2 to 1.5 in that ballpark, and they just cannot find their sights. Really what's happening is that boing is causing a lot of time to go, oh, correct. Okay, there it is. So with that being said, let's just try a couple repetitions of that. Might take you a few times just to get comfortable with this. We'll probably get the muzzle around here. Where on the target is it's not so much important as just seeing what happens at the end of your presentation, seeing your sights, and saying, is that controlled coming in? Where is my dot or my irons coming in? Where am I catching those? And am I hyperextending? So with that, okay, so that's super smooth. You saw we brought just a little push, but not even really upsetting the sides of the paper. So I have feedback visually, audibly from that sound, and just understanding kind of what is the gun trying to communicate to me in multiple methods. Okay, so I'll give you one where I'll hyperextend a little bit just so you guys can see it. Might exaggerate a little bit, but it gives you an idea. So we're gonna just hyperextend the end, not try and decel down, not try and control the end of our presentation, and that gives us that. And so we get all sorts of noise, all sorts of visual things going on. What you may end up finding when you first attempt to do this, you might crack through the target, crack through a piece of paper, cardboard, whatever you're using. That tells you something. It's not positive and or negative, it just tells you something. And you can start working on that for yourself on where does that need to be for you to have a very, very, very consistent and effective stroke. So we just went from that exaggeration. We're gonna get back into our mode on how we wanna do this. In just a touch, barely any sound, barely any upset. And again, versus too much or hyperextension would be that. So if you do this for just a few minutes every day, this is where consistency will start to come. And then you can really start to modulate how much deceleration do you need for differing size targets. So, you know, a B8, a head box, a 1-inch square, those are all things you can begin to really start understanding visually and audibly by doing this. This drill will actually go through again later on as we talk about dry fire drills to help you get very, very consistent and really in control of the firearm. But that should give you guys an idea for right now. And we can pay attention to other things with this. Where is our marry happening? How are we getting the gun out of the holster? The stuff we've already covered, all of this stuff plays together in a linear fashion to get to a really effective draw stroke. So we'll just try one at speed to see if we can still control that. And if we can, we know we're on the right track. So we probably take a little step forward. Yeah, that's good. So these little things are great little drills to incorporate into your dry fire that you're actually getting something for, not just the motion. The more ways you can find to communicate with the gun, the better you're gonna be. Okay, with that, guys, keep up the great work. See you next time.